Here we go, everybody. Welcome to the big picture. Tonight is a big night because we're going to talk about what's going on with the Supreme Court, what's going on with Trump and I almost said Biden, Trump and Putin and Zelensky. Things are shifting, but I'm asking the question tonight: can we even stop World War III? I don't know if we can or not. In fact, if you follow the Bible like I do, the answer is no. But what about in the short term? Let's talk about it tonight in the big picture. Let's go. All right, everybody, let's welcome in the Queen. Let's welcome in the Queen, the one, the only.
Let's go.
Let's
get to it.
Woo! It's in the house.
Monday.
It's gonna be a big night. A lot of news to cover tonight. A lot of news. Let's get right into it. The Supreme Court has come out and had an emergency ruling, and much to my surprise, how many's on the Supreme Court?
72?
Yeah. It was actually one against it. So Supreme Court allows Trump to revoke protected status for thousands of Venezuelans. It's just very inconsistent how it's coming out here. But as part of the Trump administration's hardline immigration policy, it seeks to reverse a Biden-era policy that extended protections for more than 300,000 Venezuelans. Migrants from Venezuela try to cross, this is a picture here, in 2022. But the Supreme Court on Monday gave the Trump administration the green light to revoke special legal protections for thousands of Venezuelan immigrants, which could pave the way for at least some of them to be deported. Why not all? If they're illegal,
right.
If they're legal, then, let's work with them. But if they're illegal, they should be going. The High Court granted an emergency application filed by the administration, meaning officials can move forward with reversing a decision that made at the tail end of the Biden administration to extend the protections for almost 350,000 Venezuelans under the federal temporary protected status program. The brief noted that liberal Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson would have denied the application. Litigation will now continue in lower courts. This is the largest single action stripping any group of non-citizens of immigration status in modern U.S. history. One of the lawyers representing the Venezuelan plaintiffs in this case, it was truly shocking that the Supreme Court authorized the move without giving the case more consideration. The decision is a win for the American people and the safety of our communities, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement. The Trump administration is reinstituting integrity into immigration system to keep our homeland and its people safe. So basically what it is, at the very end of the Biden administration, which we'll talk heavily about the Biden administration tonight, and was there really even a Biden administration? Did it even exist? Yep. Almost 350,000 Venezuelans were here illegally, and a swipe of an auto pen now that we know, spoiler alert, getting ahead of ourselves, protected 350,000. Supreme Court said, no, they can't be protected.
Wow. Did anybody see this coming? And it's just confusion, isn't it?
Yes.
In what's going on and what's the agenda, blah, 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 more of the same. So can't wait to see what the next move is on this matter. But you are talking about over 300,000 people.
Yeah. So 300,000 people from Venezuela is a communist country, isn't it? I mean, I think they have a communist dictator that defied the election. He lost the election and he just didn't go. He just stayed. And now he's ended up staying as the president. And so, he basically said, we don't want him back. We can't afford to feed him. And Trump's like, hey, well, neither can we.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
There's that.
That's all you got to say? Okay. All right. Okay. That's
Done with this story. It's enough already.
That's it.
Moving on.
Okay. All right. So this is breaking right before we went on the air. It's confirmed that Russia and Ukraine, according to Trump, will immediately begin negotiations towards a ceasefire. So this was come as a result of a 2-hour phone call, but let's read about this. President Donald Trump announced Monday that Ukraine and Russia will begin negotiations toward a ceasefire and suggested that talks could take place at the Vatican. How interesting is that?
It's extremely interesting.
I mean, when I heard that today, we've been running in different directions. I just thought, I can't wait to hear what Sandy's got to say about that.
So let's get into it. Does it not lend more credence to who has to be involved in certain goings on this planet?
Go ahead and say it. I mean, people don't know what you're talking about. Just go ahead and tell them that what we have discussed on here, that we've been told by several people, and we've followed several people that what?
Certain things cannot happen on this earth until the Pope either gives permission for it, or he's read in on it, or I don't know what, gives his blessing, has his opinion given on the matter. I mean, what are they doing? They got to perform certain.
Yeah.
Do they?
That's why I was being quiet. Just see if you would go there.
Do we have to give certain prayers or other things before certain things can happen? So, what in the world?
Certain things. Certain things.
Yeah, this is quite interesting.
It is. It is
on this matter here.
It really is. And, to further dive into that, we'll get back into this article, is you're basically saying that there are certain powers that be that are of influential position in ancient ruling forces, even though on the global scene it may look like they're not as powerful as they used to be, namely the United Kingdom, Britain. But yet we know that there was this unspoken thing that nobody talked about publicly, but several people have acknowledged that.
I never would have thought anything about it. I never would have thought anything about it until I heard Mike from around the world talk about it. And
talk about what? They don't know what we're talking about.
About the Pope, that certain things cannot happen until he shows up, until he puts his 2 cents worth in or whatever. And then he went on to say, when the Queen died, that certain things a queen couldn't do, that a king had to be sitting on the throne and present, I don't know, to give certain permissions, I don't know, to set things in motion. He didn't really elaborate. That Mike, I'll tell you what, he'll drop a bomb and then just walk off and leave you sitting there shaking your head like, what? What's the rest of this
Some
story?
of y'all don't know who Mike from around the world is. He's just we don't know who he is either. That's an assumed name or pretend name, but he's a guy that has a lot of inside information.
Right.
And
on Pastor Paul's show.
On Pastor Paul Begley's show. Shout out to Pastor Paul Begley. But basically what we're saying is that the powers that be, the elite, the cabal or whatever, there's this secret agreement that certain major figureheads have to be involved in every global instance. So that being said, let's go back to this article and let's read the headline again. President Donald Trump announced Monday that Ukraine and Russia will begin negotiations toward a ceasefire and suggested that talks could take place at the Vatican. Trump took to Truth Social after a 2-hour conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin to share that it went very well. Let's just read what he says. Just completed my 2-hour call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. I believe it went very well. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations towards a ceasefire and, more importantly, an end to the war. The conditions of that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can only be, because they know the details of a negotiation. And then, of course, it goes on to give further. As if we click on this, maybe we can see the rest of it on Truth Social there, see what he has to say. If it wasn't, let's see, the tone of the spirit of this conversation were excellent. If it wasn't, I would say so now rather than later. Russia wants to do large-scale trade with the United States when this catastrophic bloodbath is over, and I agree. There is a tremendous opportunity for Russia to create massive amounts of jobs and wealth. Its potential is unlimited. Likewise, Ukraine can be a great beneficiary of trade in the process of rebuilding its country. Negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. I have so informed President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, Ursula von der Leyen.
Oh, Ursula von der Leyen.
Oh, Ursula, President of the European Commission, President Emmanuel Macron. How is he still president of France? Yeah. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, Chancellor Friedrich Merz of Germany, and President Alexander Stubb of Finland. During a call with me, immediately after the call with President Putin. The Vatican, as represented by the Pope, has stated that it would be very interested in hosting the negotiations. Let the process begin.
Doesn't that sound so vanilla and hospitable?
Oh my goodness. It is, it's very interesting about the Vatican.
So these talks are specifically for a ceasefire?
Ceasefire, yes.
What?
Yeah, a ceasefire.
In your opinion, does Russia, is it really in their interest to have the ceasefire? I mean, I could see it being in the other side's interest, but
it's not.
Seriously, can we just
look? If it comes out to be a ceasefire, it will have nothing to do with Putin saying, "Yeah, this is a great idea." It will have everything to do with Trump doing something. He's got some kind of threat that he's going to put on him. And so I'm telling you right now, I know Trump's not the answer to everything, but Trump's in the middle of this. They wouldn't even be talking if Trump was not in the middle of it. And Trump, if they come out and say we've negotiated a ceasefire and it actually has a ceasefire and they work towards peace, it is because, and we'll never know really what it was, but there was something that was the threat.
He does
There's
seem
some kind of threat
to make his way or find his way into the middle of a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Would y'all let us know in the comment section, what do you think about the Pope? It was what I thought it was interesting about that Truth Social tweet. I still call it a tweet, even though it's number one, it's not even Twitter anymore, and number two, it's not Twitter, it's Truth Social. But I still call it a tweet. But so I can't say what he truthed today. I'm sorry, I can't do that. But it was interesting in that Truth Social that I thought at first when I first read the headline that it was his. Just throwing that out there, boy, it'd be a great idea to have the Vatican. But he says openly that the Pope, he talked to the Vatican today. Now listen to this. Listen to what he said. He said, I called the European Union. I specifically called France. I called Italy. I called Finland. I forgot the other one. And then he said, and then I called the Pope in the Vatican. And as a result of me personally talking to all of them after I got off the phone with Putin, Zelensky, I got off the phone with Putin, called Zelensky first, then all the rest of them. Yeah. I want you to know that on my call with the Pope, the brand new Pope, Leo the Lion. Oh, Leo said, hey, why don't you just come to our house?
Just come over here. We got snacks.
We got a big old wall over here.
Got a bunch of bedrooms, everybody. Come on.
I preach against building walls, but we got the biggest walls protecting us in the whole world.
That's right. We got good internet. It's all good. Come on.
We got good internet. That's a good one. We got fiber internet, so everybody can talk. We got our own police force.
That's right.
And
good security.
No matter what you need, we've got it hidden underground.
That's right. And if we just get totally bored and look for something to do, we've got a top-notch astronomy. What is it called?
Telescope.
Telescopes, obviously, to go look at the stars. But what is it called? When you have your own telescopes in your...
I'm going to call it a watch area.
It's not a watch area.
We're from Alabama, y'all.
It's been a very long day today. We're tired.
It has been a long day.
Yeah, they got the best telescopes.
Yeah.
Some of the best in the world.
Yeah, some of the best in the world. All right, so let's give you a little preview of what we call the Supernatural AI update. And we'll show that a little bit later in the program. But right now, let's give you a preview just how some of the things that we cover at the end of the program, because we like to freak you out a little bit. And these are early nominations for show it to them. Don't squeeze it, but just show it to them. The Golden Chicken Award. At the end of the show, we'll award that to.
You see here where he's sparkly.
Yeah, he is sparkly.
Sparkles.
Yeah.
Glitter. You can do a lot with
That's
glitter.
like a Trump chicken.
Do a lot with glitter. That's right.
That's a Trump.
This is a golden era. We're back into the golden age.
Yeah. That Mar-a-Lago, you might find some golden chickens down there.
Right.
Here's a little preview of the Supernatural AI update. An AI was left alone with no data. I mean, just no data, no input, and it learned to grow on its own. Oh, aren't you all so excited about this? Now, I'm going to have to read this because it's tiny letters, but it says Absolute Zero Reasoner, AZR, is a self-learning AI that creates, listen to this, its own tasks, solves them, and improves through feedback. It learns by trial and error and reasoning. No human help needed. It learns like a scientist. AZR trains itself using 3 types of reasoning: deduction, in other words, if A, then B; abduction, guessing causes; and induction, finding patterns and rules. AZR gets top scores in coding and math. It performs better than models trained by human curated data.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear that? He's trained itself how to do math and code, and it gets higher coding and math scores on its own than any AI being trained by humans. AZR proves that powerful models can now train themselves, no data, no supervision, just intelligence learning on its own. The question is, what happens next? So what is your first thought about?
Exactly.
Because we said they're talking about years from now, but already this is researchers at Tezuka University. They have developed this AI model. I don't even know where that's at, but they're saying that they already have a model of AI that is learning from it by itself.
Okay, so you went on and elaborated to say that it's better than, how did you put it? Than AI, or than a model of AI that is being
trained by humans.
Being trained by humans.
That had human data put in a computer AI. They created the AI. Okay, so somebody had to create the AI.
Right.
But then they didn't give it any data to use, like the internet. Okay, here's something you need to think about AI when you're processing math. 2 + 2 is 4. Didn't give it any of that. Just created an intelligence, and then no data, and left it alone.
Right.
And watch what happened. And I don't know what the timeline was. It's pretty fast. It began to think that it needed to create problems. It created problems, then it solved the problems. And as it's creating and solving the problems that it created, it taught itself math, and it taught itself coding. And now it's getting better math and coding scores than AI that have been programmed with data from humans.
Okay.
Already.
I get that. My question to that is this.
Unbelievable.
Was it given access to a lot more, I just simplify it this way, but electricity to go out and use so much more resources to
I don't know if it's
get
been
to
given,
these conclusions? Because
it's probably hadn't been given no more electricity.
it had to have been given more of something, in my mind, to work faster, harder, generate more.
I think this is just conjecture here, but I think that probably they put in the system, the human said, we're going to leave you alone, and we're going to give you permission to teach yourself. I think that's all AI needs now.
With no restriction on resources. You
Right,
can go
right.
as fast and as far and as many different whatever. That's where my mind goes is, we know they're going to be ultimately smarter than us if they aren't already, and they probably are.
They already are. They already are.
So if you can do that, heck yeah, you can do it.
There is a TED Talk that right before the show was coming on, it popped up on my YouTube, and I watched some of it, and it's the guy Schmidt that we showed before that said AI is underhyped. And it was the full TED Talk that he did. I want y'all to be looking for it, because in the next few days, I'm going to do a reaction show to that TED Talk.
Yeah.
Because the things that he says in that 40 minutes is insane. That he is telling people that have already happening, that are already being done. And by the way, he's not telling it to warn us like we should be concerned about it. He's telling us because he's so proud of the fact that he has so much money that it ain't going to bother him, he thinks in his mind. He's proud of the fact that they're able to do this kind of stuff. Well, let's look at this right here. This one more, and then we get back into the news. But this is a preview of what we call the Supernatural AI Update that is at the end of our program. So make sure you don't go anywhere, because we got something's going to blow.
These are important discussions. That you do not want to miss out on.
Absolutely. Coming to a brain near you. Boy, ain't that exciting. I'm just hearing that right there. Coming to a brain near you.
Yeah, there's nothing at all wrong with that.
Yeah, a tiny computer. Now, this is beyond Neuralink. Watch this. A high-stakes technology race is playing out, listen to the wording, in the human brain. Brain-computer interfaces are already letting people with paralysis control computers and communicate with their needs, and will soon enable them to manipulate prosthetic limbs without moving a muscle. The year ahead is pivotal for the companies behind this technology. Fewer than 100 people to date have had brain-computer interfaces permanently installed. In the next 12 months, that number will more than double, provided the companies with new FDA experimental use approval meet their goals in clinical trials. Apple this week announced its intention to allow these implants to control iPhones and other Apple products. Let that sink in. There are dozens of so-called neurotech startups. 4 lead the field of implants: Paradromics, Centron, Precision Neuroscience, and Elon Musk Neuralink, which in some ways is the most ambitious of the 4. All but Paradromics have reached the point of which they are putting tech inside people's heads. Each has its own approach, and all offer reasons they believe their product will come out ahead. All 4 are betting they'll eventually become a standard part of care for tens of thousands, perhaps even millions of us. The prize thereafter, Morgan Stanley projects a $1 billion a year brain-computer implant market by 2041. I believe it'd be more than that. Other than perhaps the quest for human-level artificial intelligence and colonization of other planets, not coincidentally 2 other areas where Musk is a big proponent, few fields exhibit such a wide gulf between their technology potential and its near-term prospects. There is a vision that is going to be a mass computer thing, which is a vision that you can sell. A neurosurgeon at the University of Pennsylvania who has done pioneer research on brain implants and has installed them in a handful of patients. As a clinician, I find that kind of a dangerous way to walk. You think? So all right, come into a brain near you, not just a Neuralink, an entire processing computer. And you think they're going to put a processing computer inside somebody's brain that doesn't have a built-in AI agent?
So you're telling me within 5 years or less, we're probably going to see robots doing surgeries or whatever they're going to call it on people to implant, equip people with, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because we talked about the surgeons
Yeah.
being robots.
Yeah. Well, you had a robot, assisted robot, work on your knee.
Thank God I was asleep.
Yeah, exactly. I would have loved to have just seen you be awake and just say, oh, by the way, we're going to let this robot do you. You'd be like, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. But here's the thing. You got a good point. I mean, eventually, you're talking about the brain. You got to be very, very careful and meticulous.
Yes,
so we're probably not going to be far away from robots putting the computer implants in the brains of people. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, nothing, surely.
There's no way that iRobot is real. There's no way that 2001? Was it 2001? Dave.
2001: A Space Odyssey. Yeah.
Dave, I'm going to put this in your brain, Dave. It's for your own good because I love you, Dave.
Right.
It will give me the ability to turn you off when you get on my nerves, Dave, but it's because I love you and I want to keep our relationship together.
Yeah. I mean, imagine all of the issues that could pop up that your body rejects one or more components of this whole thing. Maybe if there's a radiation issue. I mean, if they don't want me, you're not supposed to have your phone in your pocket. I mean,
yeah, come on.
Should we be concerned about having devices in our bodies, or I don't know.
Yeah, think.
Just sitting right on the outside of our brain. I mean, there's just so many things.
So many things. Well, one of the ways in this article, get back to the news, that I thought very interesting is the different ways they're going to put them in there. One's going through the blood vessel.
Okay, stop.
Citron.
Stop.
Yep. Citron, the first to collaborate. Watch this.
my
The first to collaborate. Did I say that right? Collaborate with Apple
Yes.
is among the least invasive. Its implant, a tubular mesh of electrodes, is run through a major blood vessel in the brain like a stent. It can be installed without opening the patient's skull. So more physicians could be trained to perform this operation, the company's chief commercial officer said. So look, they're going to put them goggles on your eyes. This is the movie.
The people in the traveling through the blood vessel. Is that what?
No. I'm talking about, look, this is what they're talking about. This is the Apple goggles. They're saying Apple is connected with this company. They're going to go through the brainstem, put the computer inside you, then put the goggles on you and let the computer chip that's in your brainstem control the goggles and let you live in a simulated world. This is Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. Yeah.
It's already here.
Wow.
It's not coming, Sandy. It's already here.
Well, I can't wait to see the next CES, right?
Yeah.
Consumer Electronics
Let's go to Vegas and go. Let's do it live from CES. Technology. Wow. What have they wonder if they ever had anybody walking around going, we're reporting live here today to report on the mark of the beast. All that's behind me is making way for the Antichrist, and walk up to people and say, hey, how does it feel to know that you are supporting the mark of the beast?
Yeah.
Does your technology work on my right hand or my forehead? Back in the news, Iran has come out today and said their foreign minister vows nuclear enrichment will continue with or without a deal with America. Statement comes days after Trump claimed Iran has, quote, sort of agreed to terms to a nuclear proposal. Trump warns, let's see, Iran foreign minister said Sunday that regardless of whether a nuclear deal is reached with the U.S., enrichment will continue. Foreign Minister Sayed Abbas Arakcha addressed negotiations between Iran and the U.S. in a post on X regarding Iran's peaceful nuclear program. In the statement, Arakcha pointed out that the U.S. officials privy to the discussion are free to state whatever they want to ward off special interest groups and malign actors. Iran can only control what we Iranians do, and that is to avoid negotiations in public, particularly given the dissonance that we are seeing between our U.S. interlocutors.
Our what?
Interlocutors?
What
is that word?
What?
Interlocutors? How you say it? You say it. Come on.
I'm trying to find it because it's so
Right there,
tiny
right there in
on
the
my screen. Where is it at on your?
Right there in the middle. It's not tiny.
It's tiny up there. I
Well,
can't
don't
read
look at
it
that
on
one.
my.
Look at this one. U.S. interlocutors.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Somebody, please tell us if there's a definition or if that is
Tell me that I'm saying it. Just say,
If that is
look, just go ahead and solve it.
spelled wrong or whatever.
Just get in the live chat and say, you nailed it, Larry.
Michelle
You nailed it.
Atwood is laughing so hard at you, she's crying. Or maybe she's laughing at both of us. I don't know.
Hey, I'm laughing with you.
Anyway.
I'm laughing at myself.
Anyway.
But here's what I'm going to tell you. World War III, that's why I said on the title, can World War III even be stopped? Well, ultimately, no. Well, in fact, we've said it here. We're going to continue to say it. We don't apologize. We're not backing up.
Right.
World War III is already in place. It's not coming. It's just different than what we thought.
It appears that the infrastructure has been, just in the last year, pieces have been put in place, and probably many actual physical pieces. We know that, other types of parts of this have been put in place for years and years. But just what we've seen in the last 12 months is quite interesting. But
yes,
I got a question about Iran.
Okay.
Do you think that they have a base at the South Pole the way many other countries do? Of course, we do.
I mean, my answer to that is it's probably a global initiative that's there. And a lot of the chaos that we see is sort of played out narrative. Mm-hmm. I believe that they know something big is coming in this disclosure. And I would not be surprised if sworn enemies that you always that call each other the great Satan and all this are actually have people that are working together when it comes to technology to ward off what they think is coming. There's no way to knowing, but I don't think Iran probably has its own base, but I think they're involved and they probably have something there.
Observatory. Thank you, Jared. Jared Newton.
Is that what that means? What's up, Jared?
No, observatory.
Oh, and by the way, they're all saying I nailed it.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I nailed it.
Observatory is what we were talking about at Vatican City with the telescopes.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I think probably there are elements of Iran at somebody's base down there. You know, Russia is probably a really good guess, but if they were to have their own, the way we have had for decades and decades, and other countries, all the big powers, they're down there.
Yeah.
They're down there seeking to find out what they can. There's probably, I mean, this is weird for some people to hear this, but there probably are ancient machines and ancient weaponry under that ice that if they haven't already retrieved, they would love to retrieve.
Do you know what somebody needs to do about that?
What's that?
They need to write a book about that. Called The Final Flood.
Why not? Do it.
I think I will write it. I think I'll write that book. I think I am writing that book right now.
Excellent. Wow.
And you are my co-author. You just won't get your name won't be on the front, but everybody knows that you're the one that woke me up to all of this.
As long as I get some
in that introduction,
some acknowledgement.
In that introduction, I'm gonna say I want to dedicate this to the woman that woke me up. I was asleep at the wheel.
So asleep. Oh my goodness.
I read part of one of the chapters to you the other night, and you was just like, "So proud of my work." That's what you said. You was just like, "I'm so proud of what I've done."
I had a proud moment. I'm to be honest with you.
But I agree, and it's like the predictive programming movies where you see all these countries. And they'll show you Russia and America and China. Right. They're all coming together to build this rocket ship to leave, or they're all coming together to build the Ark in that movie 2012 to survive the floods. So I think they know something big is coming, and I believe that all these, especially the nuclear powers of the world, that they are there and underneath the ice.
I mean, we're taking definitely going down a rabbit trail from the original news article here, but I mean, my goodness, if you watch Redacted with Clayton Morse, if you watch Sean Ryan interview these people, well, this one guy in particular that worked at the South Pole, that was in Antarctica, and what he says he saw, and the whole Admiral Byrd thing, all the way back to 1947, the missions that they supposedly did. And then this treaty that came about in 1957 that all these countries had to agree to, that you couldn't retrieve resources from there, that you could be there peaceably and have your own base or whatever, but that they didn't want the world knowing what was down there.
No.
And even if there are supposedly tours there, but it's very expensive. They're very restricted. And my question is, how do you ever really know they're even taking you to Antarctica?
Yeah.
Some people say, oh, yes, I was absolutely there. Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Maybe you were.
Hopefully you were. If they were there, wherever they went, I mean, it's so vast. They could make it look like you're there.
That's what.
But there's a whole nother section. I mean, there's a whole section of Antarctica that is completely blacked out on the maps, and you can't fly over it and all of that. So, all right. So listen, what I want to cover for the next few minutes is what I believe, and I've heard several people say this, and I emphatically agree with this. I'm going to say it very clearly.
Okay.
The biggest, largest, most damaging, but the largest conspiracy, but more than conspiracy, cover up in the history of America. This is worse than Watergate. This is worse than Russiagate, the hoax and all that they put. This is the worst, most egregious, attack against the sovereignty of this country and against Americans and cover up.
Yes.
In American history.
Probably.
Now I want to say this. We're talking about the presidency of Joe Biden and the fact that it is now, all of a sudden, all these people are now admitting, oh, we didn't know. But they're saying he was never the president. I mean, this book that's supposed to come out this week, of all people, Jake Tapper, who was a part of the actual cover-up, is trying to make money and pretend that he didn't know. And in this book and other books that are coming out, they are saying from unnamed Democratic sources that work for the Democrat Party, work for the Biden administration, that Joe Biden, this is what's going to be in these books, was never the president of the United States. That from day one, they knew he had prostate cancer, that he had prostate cancer for up to 10 years, that he has known about it, he knew about it, they knew about it, and they knew they had the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's. And that from the very beginning, these books are coming out. How convenient now, saying he was never the president.
Wow.
That, you look, let's go back to Watergate.
Yes.
Watergate was, if you believe the narrative, it was people who broke in the Democratic headquarters and stole secrets of the Democratic platform that Nixon was running against, went back and told Nixon, and then the crime was the cover-up.
Yeah.
And then they started using the FBI, the CIA, and all this to try to cover things up. What did Nixon know, and when did he know it? Yeah. That was the famous line.
Yes.
They had hearings. The president had to resign from the presidency in shame over this. He was completely still competent. I'm not saying that what he did wasn't wrong. What he did was wrong. But y'all, when you start really looking at what really happened, this is what they're saying. I'm going to show you several videos tonight. They are saying that there was a group of people, unelected, hardly ever in front of the camera, that was the real president of the United States, that were signing bills, creating narratives, making X posts, making Facebook posts on behalf of the name of Joe Biden.
Like a committee.
Like a committee. Was the president of the United States.
Listen.
That is the greatest cover-up in American history.
I don't think we continually refer to Mott from around the world, but he was saying, he asked the question one night, and I thought he was referring to something that was going to happen in the future, but basically something to the effect of, how would you feel if you found out that it was more like a committee running things?
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
And I wish that we could just make a montage of all these people. I saw a couple of them last night that we saw months ago saying, oh no. First it was Karine Jean-Pierre saying, I can't keep up with him.
I can't even keep up with him. Yeah. Oh, he wears me out. He's so, what was the word they always used? He was
not fit as a fiddle.
No, he was like not vitriol, but he just vigor. I don't know what it was, but he's just he had so much stamina.
And then after her was Joe from Morning Joe and Mika, just going on. You know,
that was when he said this version of Joe Biden. This was like in the last year of his presidency. This version of Joe Biden is the sharpest, most accurate and knowledgeable and on top of it Joe Biden that I've ever known.
Right.
Yeah, they were lying to your face.
Oh my goodness.
And we all knew it.
Everybody knew it. They must have either gotten threatened with something or got a gigantic bonus, one of the two, to go on the air and however many times they doubled down on these statements and do these. But we definitely need a montage where we can just press play and just watch them all roll off, you know.
And by the way, Jake Tapper's in there too. Jake Tapper's in there calling it a conspiracy theory that he had Alzheimer's and all this, and now he's writing a book trying to take the high road and get out of it. I agree with Information Station saying I believe it's been by committee for a long time now. I do believe our country has been. It's the president is not the most powerful force in America. We all know that. All right, so the first video I'm going to show you is. Look, let me also say this too, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. This is not just me covering myself. I mean this. I don't want anyone. I would never wish cancer on anyone.
No.
So we pray for Joe Biden. If he has advanced stage 4, which is what they're saying, stage 4 cancer, prostate cancer, and I'm going to show you why people are saying that he's had cancer for a long time. There's no way around it. But the reality is this. We can talk about the timing in just a minute, why the timing announcement of his cancer came out now. But so we pray for Joe Biden. We pray that before he ends his life, that some of the, I'm going to be honest with you.
That his life ends.
Excuse me, before he ends his life. Well, yes, before his life ends, that I'm not here to judge anybody's salvation, but some of the demonic things that he stood for, that he gets right with God.
Right. And can I just throw one thing in there?
And we don't wish bad stuff on
no, we don't wish bad stuff on that. But what does it say about anybody that knew?
Right.
Where was the aggressive treatment?
Exactly.
Okay. Day 1, 2 years later, 3 years later,
it's elder abuse.
4 years later. If we knew this,
right.
And I don't know. I mean, are you saying people are coming clean or coming forth and admitting that they knew it?
Yes.
What kind of a strategy?
Sandy, the same people that knew he had Alzheimer's and still put him up in front of people and let him embarrass himself. Why? Because his name gave them money and access. Yeah. So they didn't want him to be treated for prostate cancer.
Yeah, but you're coming out and saying it. You ought to be ripped.
No, they're not admitting the fully on the prostate cancer yet.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is it's being implied that there's no way you didn't know it. Okay. So nobody's saying that. They're now coming out and saying that we knew he had Alzheimer's and dementia. But they're not, and that's going to eventually come out too, that they knew that. But here's the answer to your question before we showed these videos is they knew that if he was treated, they couldn't hide it. So therefore they let a man that was their meal ticket, their door into getting deals in China. Their family did it. This is sickening what Joe Biden and his family did to him. They let this man progress through dementia and Alzheimer's, which we have experienced ourselves in both sets of our parents.
Yes.
And cancer.
Both of those.
Both of those and cancer. They sit back and let it metastasize to now it's supposedly in his bones and all of this, stage 4 cancer, because they couldn't mess up the money train and they couldn't dare let this orange man win.
And I will say to
it's sickening.
I will say to
demonic.
Everyone else, like I said to you last night, okay, this is being reported, but do we even know if this is the truth?
Well, there's no way for us to know.
No, there's no way. So here we are.
That's how bad our world is.
Here we are ginning people's emotions up again, just like we were so outraged and angered because of the corruption during a lot of his life, quite frankly, and then to watch him in his deteriorated mode be paraded out there, and you can see that it is abuse of some form to continue to keep someone in this role who doesn't appear to be able to do it. And now we're going to bring another narrative in about this. It's exasperating, and it's all about agendas. We may not understand what they are,
we'll never know.
There are agendas at play here, and it makes me angry. You're being yanked from side to side for someone's agenda.
So let's go to this first video here. This was on News Nation. This is urologist Dr. Schusterman. He says that Biden doctors had to have known that he had prostate cancer for at least 5 to 10 years. This would mean before he ever ran for president, when he was vice president.
Right.
It's very unlikely that someone could get annual checkups and not notice a PSA elevation over the past, but this is what I typically would see in a VA hospital, where a patient hasn't had medical attention in 10 years, presents to an emergency room with bone pain, and then they find that it's metastatic prostate cancer. But in the modern age of medicine, especially the fact that he was a former president, he had intensive state-of-the-art, care where we can see prostate cancer, 10 years in the past. So this is, it's very unusual to hear that someone has prostate cancer where they're annually being followed up. And the fact that we just find it at a Gleason 9 is just pretty much unheard of in this day and age of medicine. Even in the, even in the inner city populations, we wouldn't see it.
So you're saying even in a medically neglected population, it would be surprising to have a surprise diagnosis with a Gleason score of 9. So you're saying that certainly as he was serving in the Oval Office, you believe that he knew that he had prostate cancer, and even potentially as he was running in 2020 before he assumed office?
Well, most likely he had prostate cancer for a long time, and the aggressive prostate cancer such as this at age 80 grows over a long period of time. I mean, usually it takes from the first diagnosis of prostate cancer to spread would take 5 to 10 years, even in the most aggressive form. It's just, to me, it seems very surprising that the first diagnosis would be a metastatic diagnosis, especially Gleason 9 cancer, without, having his PSA history. I mean, I would like him to get to release the PSA history right now to see what it was. I mean, I'm talking from an area of kind of not as much information as I would like to have.
And it is not it is not standard. We were looking for a PSA score to be released as part of these public presidential health reports. We didn't get Trump's most recently either. I want to ask very quickly, so much has been made of his apparent cognitive decline. Is there a possibility that either the cancer itself or any treatments he was undergoing in secret could affect cognitive function of a person?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what happens is when prostate cancer becomes, like, say you get treated for prostate cancer and then the prostate cancer recurs, what you would do is you would start someone on a kind of a testosterone blocking hormone such as Lupron, and because Lupron acts to lower your testosterone, it gives you kind of like symptoms of depression, lower energy, fatigue. So there's a lot of things that go with being on Lupron treatment. So Lupron is a class of medicine that just
I'm gonna stop it there. I've got a couple more videos to show.
Right.
All right. So it's obvious. Bottom line is this: whether they knew it, didn't know it, it looks like, I mean, they had to know it. I mean, because what he goes on to say is, you don't just get a Gleason score of 9, which is equivalent and metastasized into your bones as stage 4 cancer as your initial diagnosis. And let me just say something. Yeah. I think most people watching this know this, but a PSA test is not a difficult test. It's just blood. The PSA is just taken from blood. That's all it is. So if you're already having, and you're the president and you're the vice president, so you have the best doctors in the world. So they're drawing blood every throughout the year, and they're checking for all kinds of things. There's no way. It's just a box to check. Just also, I get blood taken for me every 3 or 4 months, checking things. I'm 57 years old, so I go and I get blood taken. Well, they got the chart here. They've showed me. They'll just check all this kind of stuff. And PSA is just a box on there. That's all it is. And all they got to do is tell the people, hey, while you got this blood, go ahead and check for PSA. There's no way. There's just no way that the PSA has not been checked.
Well, let's just go back to possible agendas. Why now?
Yes,
if
right.
This has
That's the question.
Been an issue.
That's the question.
Why now? If it is real, Is he almost at the point of death and they're forced to, or did they choose to bring this out at this time? And if so, why?
Yeah, right. And it's interesting that it comes out, I believe, on a Sunday night. So who gets diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and makes an announcement on Sunday night? Right after the week that he was on The View, that was a disaster. That it was very obvious that his cognitive ability was gone, and Jill had to jump in, give him the signals, take over. Jill Biden, if this gets to Jill Biden, I don't hate you.
No.
But let me just tell you something, Jill Biden. What you did was disgusting. And I know that Joe Biden is not exonerated here because ultimately you can look at his record of the things that he stood for and voted for.
Right.
But when this started happening, the son, the wife, the vice president, the people around him said, oh, wait a minute. We can't release this because we'll lose all of this. So I'm telling you, that's why I call it, and I'm not the only one calling it, but I am also calling it the biggest cover-up and fraud on the American people, or probably any people it's certainly in the history of this country.
Yeah, it's huge. It is huge.
People need to go to jail.
Yeah.
It is against the Constitution. We did not vote for Ron Klain to be the president.
Far-reaching and spanning over how many years?
Exactly.
Ridiculous.
So there's, this article says the timing, and that was your question. The timing of the 3 big Biden stories raises eyebrows and questions.
Yeah.
Gee, why aren't people taking them at face value? So the first one, of course, is Biden's cancer diagnosis that we've just covered. Joe Biden has made the announcement that he has been diagnosed with a very advanced form of prostate cancer, which we are told was diagnosed as recently as last Friday and announced on Sunday night. Diagnosed, not announced, found out. Advanced form of prostate cancer. The president, who was the president just a few months ago, and for 4 years, and the vice president skipped 4 years past Trump's first 45 run, and he was vice president for 8 years. But he just got diagnosed Friday. Trump, true to form, offered his condolences and hope. I thought this was very classy. Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. Now, we know Donald Trump. We don't know if he'll change his tone, but right now he's taking a good tone.
Yes.
CNN uses Biden's cancer announcement as a jumping off point to peddle a tell-all book about Joe's presidency, one that Jake Tapper is said to have attached his name to only after the other author couldn't get any traction. The extraordinary timing observation made by the potato, well, I don't know what that is, precisely the same one that liberals press later attack Republicans for making. Let's watch this as they try to take the high road and pretend that they had no idea.
Look, this is breaking news that came just about 2 hours ago, and it is now rippling through, television media, online. How are people consuming this? How is it reaching people?
Oh, that's the potato.
And I'm seeing some prostate cancer survivors, people who have lived with this disease, who have been through this, expressing support, both condolences, but also support and cheering Biden on as he faces this. The timing, Jessica, is just extraordinary. We know from the statement from his personal spokesman that Biden learned of the diagnosis on Friday. Well, what was the biggest Biden story on Friday? It was the release of those audio excerpts from his conversations with Robert Hur back in 2023. This was the audio that Axios obtained, almost certainly from the Trump administration, showing memory lapses. And you heard a lot of people on Friday talking about that audio being hard to hear, even excruciating to hear. Biden showing his age on those audio tapes that had never been heard by the public until now. So on the day that story was breaking, Biden was facing this personal news. At least that's according to the statement from his personal spokesman. So you have that.
So the day the Axios is breaking, he's finding out for the first time that he has advanced rapid stage 4 prostate cancer. There again, that's heartbreaking. we're not rejoicing in that.
No.
But y'all, we know what's going on here. The cancer diagnosis was just one of the 3 Biden-related storylines floating around the last few days. 2 others were picking up steam, each of which carried some potential to take a real toll on Mr. No Malarkey's place in history. Not only was Joe being jackhammered by the tell-all book, but also Axios, as he just referenced, came out with the damning audio tapes of the Her interview in October of 23 when he couldn't even recall when his time as vice president began or ended, and whether his son, who died in 2015, was described by Joe as either dying or deployed during dates in question several years later. So the question is, why was this not diagnosed earlier? And there's some things in this article that I do want to point out that are very interesting. He has been under the very best medical care the world could offer for a form of cancer that is as treatable as prostate cancer. It raises questions of why we're just now finding out instead of catching it far earlier and treating it then. The tell-all books are coming clean with just how much Biden's health was deteriorating. They were talking about the possibility of him needing a wheelchair in his second term. That's what was in these books. They're going to be in these books.
My goodness.
Yes, despite the official reports giving us updates on trivial things like Stiffgate, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Where his medical secrets being so shielded from prying eyes that his medical team weren't actually running important tests, were tests falsified? Was objectivity impaired by business interest of some of his handpicked staff? Was it incompetence? Did Joe just refuse to participate in some relevant tests? Is it some other reason not on this list? Not surprisingly, the wah-wah era turbo cancer question has reared its head again. We might never have a genuine answer to these questions, but that doesn't make them unimportant, since so many people with routine testing are able to find this illness long before it threatens to move along. And we're not the president. So story number 2, insiders dishing out about Biden's time in office. It makes a good point. Biden cares deeply about how he will be seen and remember his story. Only a few months removed from his last day in office, even his own party has wasted no time in trashing his image and legacy. His tell-all books are coming out. And then there's the auto pen issue.
Oh, BP just said they needed to control the auto pen.
That's exactly right. The auto pen issue. So the Her investigation is the audio. It is brutal. I have listened to some of it. Remember, they brought out the transcript, but they refused to release the audio. So the transcript was pretty bad, but you didn't hear all the pauses, and all this kind of stuff. But when you hear the audio, here's just a sample of it.
Yeah, we talked about
this
before.
So during this time, we were living in Chambers Road, and there were documents related to.
It's tiny letters, but the captions are at the bottom right-hand side. I'll try to read some of the relevant ones if you can't see it, because it's hard to understand at times.
The Penn Biden Center, or the Biden, or the cancer finger shot, or your book. Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying.
Did you hear that? During this time, my son was either being deployed or dying. Number one, the date is off about his son. And number 2, they were saying they did not want that to come out, to hear that the active president, this was a full year before the election. This is only 3 years into his term, did not know the simple answers to these questions, but yet this was the president.
And so it was, and by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period, except the president. It's not a mean thing to say, but he just thought that she had a better shot of winning the presidency than I did. And so I hadn't I hadn't at this point, even though I'm at Penn, I hadn't walked away from the idea that I may run for office again. If I ran again, I'd be running for president.
So several times during this interview, the prosecutor, her, would say, maybe we should take a break. Maybe so he kept giving lifelines.
Right.
Maybe we should take a break. And he would go, no, I'm fine. Well, guess what they're saying now? The people that are still supporting him, that he was cognitive, that it wasn't what people are saying in these books, were saying, you got to understand that that's when the October 7th attacks happened in Israel, and he had been working around the clock, taking care of our response to Hamas, how we were working hand in hand with Netanyahu, and then he had to go in here for this deposition, and he was exhausted. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not rejoicing in it. We've seen the horrors of this disease, and I'm talking about Alzheimer's.
Yes.
In both sets of our parents, and we've seen cancer. Okay, it's been in both of our families. We're not rejoicing in this, but we're not talking about a certain person. We're talking about the president of the United States that decides on wars that fed billions of dollars to Ukraine. Now we're finding out he didn't. Now we're finding out he probably didn't even hardly know there was a war. We're finding out that billions of dollars were being signed, commissioned, executive orders being given, bills being signed, budgets being signed by someone who's not the president and by something known as an auto pen, a digitally produced signature.
An extremely serious situation. And was it not at the end of these deliberations and testimony and so forth is this when the group came back and said this person is not really fit to do this?
Wait a minute, her? You talking about her?
Yes.
Yeah, look, they found all kinds of things that he should have went to prison for. Worse than anything Donald Trump did when it comes to secret files and classified files. And they literally said, you're right.
Yeah.
We found all kinds of things we could charge him with, but this is an old man who could not remember anything about his dying son, and even when he was vice president, and no grand jury in America would convict and indict an old man that would feel sorry for him.
In this condition.
The president. And he served another year, over a year after that.
We can't put you through the legal process or, punish you for crimes committed, but go back to the White House and continue to run the country.
And be the most powerful man in the world.
That makes perfect sense.
Well, listen to this. This video is being brought back to people's memory. This was from 2022. Listen closely to the words of Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, in 2022.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why I can't for the longest time.
Whoa! What?
You hadn't heard that?
I've not seen this one.
Yeah.
2022?
2022. So he slips up, and he said there was oil and all this in the air there in my hometown. And I, along with other family members and people like me, have cancer. So he's known. He's known.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, let's listen to it one more time for those who haven't heard it. This was a speech. Let's see, don't give any backstory, but he's obviously out campaigning or making some kind of speech about some policy, but let's listen to it again.
Accessible. My mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
That's why I and so many blank people that I know have cancer. in my hometown.
Unbelievable.
2022. And look, they didn't tell us. They didn't tell us. We knew he had cognitive issues. We did not know he had cancer. Oh, and by the way, a lot of people are saying in the chat, and I want to agree with this. During the presidency that we now know was not a presidency, we are now openly saying on this show unashamedly,
right,
the biggest scandal and cover up in the history of the United States of America. Y'all, are you not with me in saying that the dude we saw through the 4 years was not always the same guy anyway?
Oh, I was waiting for this to come up. Come on, guys. Chime in the chat. Even you were like,
that is not Joe Biden.
I think that's a different person.
What about tall Joe Biden? Remember tall Joe Biden?
Tall Joe Biden.
It's like Nephilim.
Mm-hmm. Angry Joe
Nephilim
Biden.
Joe Biden.
Angry, screaming Joe Biden.
And then sweet, kind, talk to you like this, Joe Biden.
Docile Joe Biden. Yeah.
And then mask Joe Biden. He turned his head and you could see the mask.
Yeah.
And then different color eye Joe Biden.
Saggy chin. What was there one that had a
saggy chin? Had knots coming out of his chin on the airplane. Remember that one? Remember that Joe Biden? He turned his head and giant knots were coming out of his chin. Look, we're not rejoicing in this man's pain. We're just trying to illustrate we all knew we were being played, but we were being played on another level. Scandalous and crime. It's criminal what was done.
Go back down a little and see what BP was saying. We are 120. Was that miles?
Larry, we're 120 miles inland from the Gulf of America. The storm after the BP oil spill dropped our oily substance that took the clear coat off the car. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about the oil on the windshields. But watch this. I want to show you this other video here because I don't know if they'll go through with it, but House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer from Kentucky, he's the committee chairman. He's now instituted a committee to investigate the auto pen, who used it, and who was the true president. Who knows if anything ever come out of this, but watch this.
House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer from Kentucky has initiated a new investigation as part of his ongoing efforts to depict President Joe Biden as mentally unfit while in office. This time, Comer is focusing on the former president's use of an auto pen to authorize significant executive actions. Comer told Fox News on Friday, "We believe we have identified the staff members involved. We plan to bring everyone we suspect was involved for a transcribed interview. If necessary, subpoenas will be issued." In a media release, Comer accused senior Biden staffers of running interference, while the president allegedly experienced cognitive decline. He claimed that decisions and signatures were made by aides instead of Biden himself during the final months of his presidency. Comer also mentioned First Lady Jill Biden and Hunter Biden as potential individuals of interest, although no evidence was provided to support these claims. Comer stated on Fox News, "Don't rule out Hunter Biden. He spent a lot of time in the Oval Office in the last 3 months." The Oversight Committee had previously issued subpoenas for White House aides Annie Tomasini, Anthony Bernal, and Ashley Williams, and requested an interview with Biden's physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor. The White House declined to make them available. Comer now intends to resume the investigation, suggesting this is one of the greatest scandals of our generation. Former President Donald Trump has previously claimed that Biden's preemptive pardoning of individuals, including members of the House committee investigating Trump's role in the January 6th attack, is invalid due to the use of an auto pen. In a strongly worded statement, Comer alleged a conspiracy involving the Biden administration.
I can't handle that music. Why in the world would you put that music?
I don't know.
U.S. politic news. Who in the world convinced you to put that music behind stuff like that? That's crazy. But here's the thing. Think about this. At the end, the last week of his presidency, let's see if this shows it. Man, I wished I had it. I'm going to see if I can find it. It talks about how many, the most commutations and pardons in the history of the presidency was done by Joe Biden. Now we know that Joe Biden was not the president. There's no way Joe Biden went through every one of those people and said, yeah, that's a good cause, let's pardon. So that means there were people.
Yeah.
And this video that we just watched, James Comer is saying, get this, he's even saying that Hunter Biden may have pardoned some of these people.
Good grief.
Jill Biden may have pardoned some of these people. That they had carte blanche. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I believe so.
They had full reign. People just came in and used the auto pen and signed the most commutations and pardons in the history of the presidency in the name of a man who was cognitively impaired and was apparently in stage 4 prostate cancer.
Should be easily prosecutable.
Absolutely.
Crimes. And, I mean, hey, Hunter, you know, we already know he's a major criminal, right? What's the holdup?
Give me that auto pen. Yes.
Oh,
dude.
Okay.
Dude.
All right.
Would you agree? The biggest scandal in U.S. history?
Sure.
I mean, 4 years. These books are coming out. These books are going to come out, and the leaked part of these books are already saying that they are going to say listen closely, was never the president.
And it is
Never.
sickening, as you talked about before. Some of these same people who were shouting it from the rooftops that he was so capable and, you know, healthy and all of this are the same ones who are now going to benefit from selling these books. I mean, ultimately,
they're gonna,
CNN or whatever is going to be the biggest, you know, entity or whatever. They will benefit the most. But his name is on it, and it's almost like an exoneration.
Yeah.
It's like almost like he gets to change teams midstream.
Yeah. And that's
it makes everybody angry. Everybody is just like, this is ridiculous. How can this happen?
And that's why he's doing it. That's exactly why he's doing it, because he knows he is guilty.
Yeah.
He is guilty as sin. Jake Tapper is guilty as sin. And he is going to make millions of dollars pretending that he was blindsided. I'm as shocked as anybody. What about old James Coburn, whatever your name is, from, where's he from? North Carolina, South Carolina. He was interviewed this week and was asked, do you believe, because Joe Biden's your friend, do you believe that Joe Biden could have served another 4 years as president? And he said, absolutely.
Absolutely. Ridiculous. What? Come on.
Who's voting for this man who in South Carolina, wherever he's from, that is saying this week that Joe Biden would have been able to cognitively handle the presidency for another 4 years when it's coming out that he was never the president?
And the truth is, we probably don't even know the extent of the damage that was done in his administration for those 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was like a nonstop, and I know Trump is also like nonstop executive orders, and
he's actually signing them.
He is actually signing them. We don't, some of them I don't know or understand, and we may not know the implications of them until years down the road, but auto pen.
Oh, he ain't no saint either.
Multiple executive orders. I mean, the whole administration was so oppressive. I mean, it was just hard to live through.
Yeah.
It was hard to live through that time.
I mean, I'm just thinking about, where we're at right now. June's coming up.
Yeah.
During that presidency, June, the White House was taken over by, you know what I'm talking about, Pride Month. And it's going to be a totally different year, supposedly. But I mean, I don't think, nobody's going to be prosecuted because this is the government powers. These are the most powerful people in the world. And by the way, do you think Republicans didn't know this as well? Please.
Of course.
Republicans knew he had cancer. Republicans knew all this. I'm telling you, the Republicans knew he wasn't the president. Now, some of them were trying to say something about it, but most of them were just don't want to mix up the apple cart.
If we sitting at home can watch short clips on the news and we know something is terribly wrong, then come on. Of course, those who were in his presence, or if you knew someone and you were hearing, secondhand rumors or people, one person away, come on, just it's ridiculous.
It is. And honestly, you go back to your question about timing before we move on. I think the timing is
What are you about to say?
I think the timing is he's about to be gone.
Wow.
I think it's going to be pretty quick. And I hope he gets his heart right with God. I hope his family gets their heart right with God. I don't want to see anybody go to hell. I don't wish cancer on anybody. I certainly don't wish cancer or Alzheimer's on anybody. On my worst enemy, I wouldn't. I'd wish it on the devil, but he's not the devil. We wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Exactly.
He is a man who has an eternity awaiting him. So I hope that somebody gets in his inner circle and says, Joe, look at me. Quit having a form of godliness. Quit waiting on somebody to come in here and pray rights over you to keep you out of hell. Get your heart right with God.
Yes.
And let me tell you something about my God. My God will forgive Joe Biden.
He will.
My God, he forgave Larry Ragland, and he'll forgive you.
Yes.
I don't care how bad you are. If you truly are repentant, he will forgive you. Now, you may not, that doesn't mean you got to love everybody that's done you wrong.
No.
That means you got to vote for him, be your best friend. You ain't got to go to dinner with him. You ain't never got to have him in your life again. But if they call out to God, he said it's finished on that cross. So I'm telling you right now, I'm making it very clear. I'm not making fun of this. I'm not making light of this. Mm-hmm. This is who we are. We say it all the time. We have to laugh sometimes to keep from crying. And we try to present very difficult news in as lighthearted a way as we possibly can.
Right.
And we're talking about a man here whose name will go down in history. I believe they keep wanting to call him the most consequential president in U.S. history. I believe he probably is one of those, but not for the reason.
Not for good reason.
Not for the reason that Nancy Pelosi is saying. Because he will be known, when these books come out especially, he will be known as the puppet of all puppets. He will be known as this is bona fide elder abuse, what they did to this man. How they would put him out. They knew, don't believe this mess. They knew what was going to happen in that debate. That's why they agreed to it.
Yeah.
Because they were ready to get him out of the race.
That was their out. And before we move on to the next story, let me say one more thing. This is a big story, otherwise known as a big diversion. So we're not necessarily talking Republican, Democrat here. No. This could have been brought up now to distract us from something happening or about to happen on the world stage. Yep. So we need to, keep that in our thoughts. It seems extremely volatile on the world stage right now, not in just one or two or three areas. There's a lot of serious things going on across the globe. So again, my question, why now? Yeah.
And I think that we could probably go as far as to say, instead of saying this could be a distraction of a world event coming, to more than likely is. The timing is more than likely a distraction.
Well,
not just a distraction from these books.
Let's just continue into the controversy. What if it's not happening or being brought to the stage now because of distract us from a political issue or a war issue? What if it's absolutely to cover up these weather events, this activity on the sun?
Yeah.
That
right.
I mean,
sun's going crazy.
Yeah. So that's just where my thoughts are and where my mind is. Distraction for what?
Ooh, agree. Now, an interesting thing happened this week. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were together interviewed by, what's her name, Marta Rolamo? How do you say her name?
Maria Bartiromo.
Yeah, that's it. And much to people's shock, that was very excited about these two people being the head of the FBI and the deputy head of the FBI. flat out said, we have seen the Epstein files, and he did unalive himself. They both said he 100% unalived himself. Well, people like myself and people like Glenn Beck are not buying it. This is how powerful your United States government is. You go in, these people go in saying they're going to do this, and do this. And then when they get there, they find out, well, if you say that, then this.
Here's the killed himself. What is it I would need to see that could be produced? 1, full unredacted forensic and autopsy reports. I'd like to see it. I'd like to hear other coroners talk about it. I'd like to see other people, not just handpicked by the media, but I'd like to see the evidence myself. I'd like to hear from coroners all over. Okay. I'd like to see the surveillance footage or sworn testimony from neutral parties confirming no foul play on that. I want to know the history of that camera. I want to know when it went out exactly, and I know we do, but I want the whole thing, including the video leading up to it going out. I want a timeline that explains the broken cameras, the sleeping guards, and why the most high profile prisoner in America was removed from suicide watch just days before. Well, why did that happen?
Good points.
You see, it is the string of coincidence and the constant lies from both sides of the administration, both Republican and Democrat. We don't believe the Department of Justice anymore.
He goes on, you can watch the entire interview on his YouTube program, but he goes on to say, basically, I have had private conversations with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino of the things that they were privy to before they became the directors. Yeah. And shortly after they became directors. I'm putting words in his mouth, but this is what he's alluding to. And he basically says they have both done an about face. Wow. Why? Listen, this is how powerful Washington is.
Yeah. The machine.
The machine.
Fear is a great tactic. Threats are a great tactic.
Well, one of the things that Tim Pool on Timcast said on one of his shows today, he said, let me ask you a question. He was very upset with this because he does not believe them. He absolutely does not believe. He believes that they have been pressured into something. This is what he said. He says, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. He said, I love and trust both of them. They're friends. And I don't believe what they're saying. I don't believe they believe what they're saying. But he said, ask yourself this question. You are very motivational. You want to change the world. You want to go in and upend the system. And you are convinced and you are absolutely truthful when you say, nobody's going to buy me. Nobody's going to threaten me. I'm going to unload this. And you get there and you get in that position, the powerful position that you wanted to have. And someone comes to you and says, okay, you have the power to tell this. But if you do, not a threat to your family, but he posed a great point. He said, they turn a piece of paper over and they show you something, and it says, the moment that you expose this person, the moment that you expose this group of people, you will be the person that single-handedly brings down and destroys an entire nation. The United States of America will cease to exist if you do this. Do you want that? Mm-hmm. And he made a great point. He said, the patriot, they appeal to the patriot in you. They appeal to the humbleness and the kindness and the reason that drove you to get that position. They appeal to that. They know how to work that. And they make you big picture. Yep. And they make you understand, yeah, you can be the guy that finally tells everybody what they thought was the truth. But millions of people may die because of it. What will you do?
BP just said something about if it was exposed, the U.S. government would collapse.
That's what he was insinuate the U.S. government would collapse. So he's saying, I know Kash Patel and I know Dan Bongino enough to know the only reason they both said emphatically that he did that is because this whole Epstein thing is so much bigger than an island. It is so much bigger than an island. And that's sickening stuff that they're saying. But I'm telling you right now, I think we're both so red-pilled now, and you've so red-pilled me, that I'm like, I'm even wondering, is the island in the stories of the island the real story? Is it a diversion? Is it about the hideous, disgusting, demonic things that happened there that involved children, that involved trafficking? I believe a lot of that did happen, and I believe most of it did happen. Now, probably worse than we can even think. But that won't bring a nation down. There's something else at play here.
So
that's bigger than that.
I'll say one quick thing. So the word that ends with...
Yeah, be careful.
The word that ends with the word chrome, that a lot of you may know about.
Yeah.
Some people believe this is the main point. The sell of this.
I think most people know what you're talking about.
Because if you know what that word is, and I know 90 or more % of you do, then you understand how it is gathered, what has to happen for that to be attained.
Right.
And then there is obviously a secret market to sell it. And a lot of people are using it, or I want to be so careful here.
Yeah.
And that it is very widespread use, and there has to be globally, and there has to be horrible abuse to even obtain this substance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying I have heard that.
Yeah. Allegedly.
Yeah.
That's the word we'll use, as allegedly.
Sure.
But I think most people here know what we're talking about. If you don't know what we're talking about, that's probably a good thing. Maybe you don't know, but it's because it's hideous. It's hideous. Yeah. It is demonic, and but I believe it goes beyond that. I believe it goes to knowledge, blackmail of knowledge of intel, military intel things, that if this happens, then this is released. The dead switch, the kill switch, whatever people call it, if dead man switch, if this happens to me, you expose me for this. I've already have in play that this will be released of what you are doing, and it snowballs. I believe it is a snowball effect. The center of it all is where they got it all done, was they appealed to that demonic side of man on that island and the things that separate that island, all the hideous things that happened there. But if you can believe Pam Bondi, if you can believe our justice system, they're now saying tens of thousands of videos involving children. Tens of thousands. And this is what Pam Bondi said. I don't know if I believe her or not, but this is what she said. The reason it's taking so long is we're having to go through them. Well, let's say that's true.
Right.
Who wants to go through them? But yet they're saying, and you have to, I feel so nasty right now.
Yes.
It's like, because what's on there. But then it goes bigger than that. Y'all, if entire nations could come down because of it, as hideous and as bad as that is, and for a human and for a parent, there can't be nothing more hideous than that.
Right.
For a parent.
Right.
But globally, and for nations, they don't care about that. That's what they're doing. They don't care about those kids. What is keeping them from saying something? It is not the kids. It is not the videos. It's something bigger. And we'll never know what it is.
It would have to be probably the number of government officials that have partaken in this.
Yeah.
Consuming this or knowing about the harvesting methods
Yeah.
and the trafficking and the sale. I mean, there's a blackmail component of controlling people through blackmail. Just the knowledge. I could imagine, because when I first heard you and BP say the government would collapse, what things can collapse a government? Total financial collapse?
Well, it's
something that
I believe
pulls
it's
so many government officials out at one time
Yes.
that we can no longer be governed.
Yes. On both sides of the aisle. And it is the blackmail train. It is the blackmail. This is what we have you doing. This is why we brought you here. But we brought you here because we know what you're really doing. We brought you here because we know what you really have. And then I've even heard people talk about, this is going to be involved in disclosure, in the UFO disclosure, fallen angel technology that is being held on to, that people have been dabbling with, the occult, horrible things.
Right.
This is a snowball. I don't know if this show's going to survive.
Exactly.
I'll be honest, I don't know if YouTube's going to let this one survive.
Listen,
I can't believe we're still on.
I was trying to step lightly.
I mean, I can't believe it.
If we don't kill it, Chad's gonna.
Chat, yeah. If they read the chat, because I'm looking over there every once in a while, I'm like, okay, chat.
Yeah.
They're trying to get us kicked off over there.
Look,
I love our big picture family.
How many times have you heard our president, the current president, throw out that number, that certain number that's bantered back and forth of children?
Yeah. Yeah.
Missing. And that's a big number.
It's a big number.
But the reality is it's probably so much larger than that.
God, it's sick.
Between the sex trafficking, between the harvesting, and quite frankly,
be careful.
There are life-ending acts that children and others are used for. If you want to use that R word, ritual, I mean, it's just on and on and on. It's unbelievable.
Hey, Michelle, thank you, Michelle. Michelle Atwood said, if the show goes down, I'm moving to Alabama. Come on down here and be with us anyway, Michelle.
So sorry for that nervous laughter. It's just this show is a little overwhelming tonight.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know it was going this route.
No, I didn't.
It just, I think when you really think about it, we started with the greatest scandal in American history.
Right.
And, it just sort of snowballed that we got a lot of scandals going on in this country.
Yes, we do.
That are demonic. I mean, there is, y'all, I'm getting to a point right now, look what you did to me. I don't trust anybody but Jesus and you.
You shouldn't.
I shouldn't trust you? Nah, I'm just kidding.
You can trust me, but I'm the only one.
You better believe it.
I'm the only one.
I trust you.
Yeah.
Now, what about this? Birds in the Bay Area are mysteriously exploding in midair.
Gonna add that one to the list, okay?
add that to the nominees.
Adding that one to the list for tonight.
Bay Area residents are reporting that dozens of birds are exploding and falling out of the sky mid-flight. One Ring camera caught the instant of a bird demise on video. So,
it's like a video game or something.
Yeah, so is this the sun? What's going on?
It's a mystery. I think that's how we all feel, is it's inexplicable.
If what's happening along Bernhardt Avenue in Richmond is a mystery, then these are the neighborhood detectives.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Residents say what has been happening high along this power line since February just isn't adding up.
Sounded like a firecracker, and a black, I think it was a starling, just plummeted to the ground.
They say there have been more than 50 instances of birds dying along this top power line.
I'm sorry. I love animals, but I thought it was so funny that they blurred out the faces of all the birds.
What is up with that?
It's like, thank you for that super sticker, by the way.
Thank you for that super sticker. I don't think it's not just the face. I think they don't want you looking at
gore.
The gore.
I'm like, oh, come on. You don't even blur out the faces of people sometimes, but you're going to blur out every bird.
Which Bay Area is it?
Richmond. It says Richmond Bay.
Video from a nearby Ring camera shows the moment it happens. Listen for the loud crack. A bird then falls to the ground.
Super traumatic to see this.
Neighbors say after hanging up awareness posters like these and repeated calls to PG&E, there was little action. When a worker came out to inspect the line,
He literally seemed...
What?
A vacuum.
Is the vacuum coming?
Guys, if you...
The vacuum coming?
Is
the AI vacuum cleaner coming after us?
I'm sorry, but the robot vacuum is on its way. I just heard it.
Lord.
I gotta update this app on my phone. Stop that vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts about the birds?
Why not? Okay.
Of course birds are
birds
Of course birds are just
mid-air.
popping in midair.
Really? Come on.
I mean, it's like it's not even in the news. It's like, what's the big deal? Birds popping in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, what could it be? You know, the video goes on to say that the power company said, we've investigated and we think it might be, when I watched the Ring camera, the guy from the power company said, it sounds like somebody shot it with a pellet gun. And the neighbors are like, we got there's like some kids around here that are really good shots because multiple birds have just popped and way up, like several hundred feet in the air and just fall to the ground. And it's happening over these power lines. So is there something about the electromagnetic fields of the sun or something?
Just thinking exactly the same thing. Good grief.
My goodness. Well, all right. So let's rapid fire here. Some news.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay. DNA for sale. If you remember, 23andMe went bankrupt. So, well, now somebody's bought your DNA. So Regeneron is a company that was created to scoop up bankrupt 23andMe in a court supervised sale. Yeah, I hear the vacuum.
Hopefully they won't.
Yeah, so maybe y'all don't hear it, but at any point we could be attacked by the robot vacuum. But look, I hope none of y'all were crazy enough to send your DNA in.
Wow.
But if you did, your DNA's been sold. All right, so just want to let you know that. Settle your mind tonight. Your DNA's in good hands. It's not floating out there anymore. Some company called, think of the name, Regeneron.
Exactly.
Regenerate with the DNA.
Yeah.
Regenerate your DNA. Regenerate your DNA.
Yeah, I don't think that's one's going to catch on anytime soon.
Okay. Well, look, Sandy, if you were planning on going to the Olympics this year in Los Angeles, I got good news and bad news.
Okay.
The bad news is the bad news is you can't drive a car anywhere. Los Angeles has declared it a no-car Olympics. I had never heard of that before. The Los Angeles mayor has announced Los Angeles Olympics will be a no-car Olympics. But the good news is, if you're one of the elite and you got a little money, you ain't got to ride the bus. Los Angeles is announcing flying taxis.
Shut up. I'm going now.
Come on.
I'm going to be there.
Flying taxis are here.
I got to see that flying taxi.
The Jetsons are here. Los Angeles announces flying taxis for visitors at a no-car Olympics. The games are expected to draw 15 million visitors who will have the option to take electric air taxis from numerous locations around the city.
An electric air taxi.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Los Angeles sounds totally reliable.
Oh, yeah. I feel so good about getting on
safe.
it. Los Angeles announced on May 15th that air taxis produced by Archer Aviation will be available for visitors to Team USA at the 2028 Olympics and Paralympic Games. Mayor Karen Bass pledged that the year of the Olympics would be a no-car games and that people would need to use public transportation to access venues. However, Archer's electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft will also be used in the 2028 Games, transporting, listen to the words, VIPs, fans and stakeholders, while also aiding emergency services and security operations.
So you only have to be super rich.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a picture of it, I don't think.
Well, that'd be weird. We need to see this.
Yeah. I saw earlier. I think my ad blockers blocked it, but sorry. But it's like a little tiny 2-man thing, big about as big as this table in the studio, and you get in it. It looks so safe. You get in it, you're about like this close to each other, and there's no controllers.
No.
And then all of a sudden, on its own, it just goes.
Wow.
Yep, I feel good about it.
Oh.
I feel good about it.
Billy's got the 4-in-1 on Regeneron Pharmaceutical.
Regeneron Pharmaceutical has been around since 1988. It went public in 1991. Interesting.
Things that make you go.
I'll tell you something that I am excited about is this right here. Mel Gibson has now officially got a major studio this time. Last time they mocked him. He had to pay for it himself. This year they knew he made so much money. It's called the Passion of the Christ sequel. It's called The Resurrection of Christ, and it lands a major Hollywood partner. And y'all, it's actually going to happen. It's been, believe it or not, it's been almost 21 years. That's insane, ain't it?
That's crazy.
I mean, we went to the theater as a church, and I mean, we all left wrecked. That's the one movie I've gone to in my life that nobody said a word when it was over with. Remember that? It's total silence.
Yes.
All the way out and all the way to the parking lot. No one said a word.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It's already been 21 years, so nobody should be faulted for forgetting just how seminal of a year 2004 was for cinema. It goes on to say that these are some of the movies that came out: Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, $1 Million Baby, and Crash, to cult classics like Kill Bill Volume 2, The Notebook, The Incredibles, Team America, Spider-Man 2. But one film that stood heads and shoulders above the rest, and no, it's not Napoleon Dynamite, perhaps the biggest, and that's saying something, in 2004, film to release was Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ.
That was over $1 billion.
Look at this. Worldwide, in now money, was much more than $1 billion.
Okay.
But in that time, Box Office Mojo said it cost $30 million to make, and $610 million was made at that time in money from that time. So it's a lot more than that now. And over this is the key thing, over half of the box office came domestically here, showing it has a strong American interest in the film. So despite the iterative nature of Hollywood, there is no immediate sequel. Flash forward 2 decades, and a sequel hasn't just been announced. It has an official new title and major studio partner. According to Hollywood Reporter, Gibson's highly anticipated sequel film will be working with Lionsgate Studios and will help the production of the film, will also help distribute it. The Hollywood studio already got to working to promote the film, including its new official title, The Resurrection of the Christ.
Oh.
So the rumors are,
Yeah.
that this movie, and boy, I hope this is true.
Yeah.
I've already know that it's going to cover the 40 days of the resurrection, but the rumors are it is going to open, get ready for it, with the fall of the angels and the 200 watchers on Mount Hermon.
Oh, wow.
It's going to begin with the fallen angels, the watchers, and end with the ascension of Jesus. I mean, not the ascension. Yeah, the ascension of Jesus at the end of the 40 days. That would be the way he makes movies. Can you imagine how he would cover the fallen angels of Genesis chapter 6?
Interesting.
To see Genesis chapter 6, man, that's going to be amazing. All right, here we go. I hear something.
Come on.
It's time.
Uncle Jimmy.
Well, it's Uncle Jimmy.
And
it's the Supernatural AI Update. Yeah, A.K. Griffin says, I cried like 5 times watching The Passion of Christ. I cried like 5 times in like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I was crazy. I just had a chill. Hit me. I mean, literally, it just shivered me. I don't know if it was the Holy Ghost or just a chill. Something hit me. But y'all, I crazy cried.
Yeah.
I mean, I crazy cried. I couldn't breathe cry.
Yeah.
You ever had one of them I couldn't breathe cries?
A few times.
I mean, it was like wrecked. And by the way, I couldn't understand a word that was being said. Let's not forget that. It was all in, what was it, Aramaic? And we had to read subtitles. I wonder if this one's going to be in Aramaic.
We will see.
I wonder if Lionsgate will make it be in English. I didn't mind it being Aramaic. It sort of made it different.
Right.
Back to the Supernatural AI update. Here's the first question. This article is from artificialintelligencenews.com. Will the AI boom fuel a global energy crisis? Well, I think we've answered that before. And I think this goes a little bit deeper. AI's thirst for energy is ballooning into a monster of a challenge, And it's not just about the electricity bills. The environmental fallout is serious, stretching to guzzling precious water resources, creating mountains of electronic waste, and yes, adding to those greenhouse gas emissions we're all trying to cut. As AI models get even more complex and weave themselves into even more parts of our lives, a massive question mark hangs in the air. Can we power this revolution without costing the earth? Numbers don't lie. AI's energy demand is escalating fast. Goes on to say, to give you a sense of scale, AI's future energy needs could soon gulp down as much electricity as entire countries like Japan or the Netherlands, or even large U.S. cities like California. When you hear stats like that, you start to see the potential squeeze AI could put on the power grids that we all rely on. Now, I'm not going to do the whole article. I'm going to go back to, I want y'all to be looking for, I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do a reaction to the TED Talk with the guy that started, one of the co-founders of Google, talking about it. And he says in that TED Talk that right now, we know that within a year to a year and a half, some of the current AI models, and he said some of the names that you know, ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, will require for their data systems, each data system, the equivalent of the power of major cities, entire major cities. So he's talking about, so he said the way you have to look at it is every data center being built will require the power of a city.
Or their own nuclear reactor.
Or their own nuclear reactor. Exactly. Exactly. They're building their own nuclear reactor. Well, one of the things I cover in my new book, shameless plug, I'm giving you the title now. The working title now is The Final Flood. I'm excited about it. Can I tell you something? You know I've been working hard.
Yes, you
I've been working hard on this book.
You have.
And I am a little over halfway through the book. And not only is it going to blow your mind, but it blew my mind as I'm studying, as I'm researching and finding things. And one of the biggest things that keeps coming back of my research is CRISPR gene editing. I remember when you first started talking to me about this, and I was clueless about it years ago. I've been learning more and more about it, but as I go into this book, I've got several sections in the book where the final flood of evil is going to manifest itself through things like transhumanism, gene editing. Yeah. Now, this is a sweet, wonderful article here because this is, but that's how they sell it. That's how they sell it. You know, that's the Neuralink is helping people walk. It's helping people see. You know, the AI is helping us be more efficient. It's going to cure cancer. Right. You know, all these kind of things. Well, look at this. This was not on anybody's news. World's first. United States baby, U.S. baby treated first time ever with personalized CRISPR gene editing. Now, when you look at this, how can you not be so excited about this? I am excited about this. I am excited about what this means for this baby. I mean, my goodness, if you were the parents and you had something happen on this level to heal your baby, of course you would be happy about it. And of course, we are happy about it for these parents. But I'm showing you this to tell you, when they show you articles like this, this is them trying to make you see the good, but they don't show you what else is going on.
Exactly.
Am I right?
Exactly.
Okay, a U.S. infant with a rare condition has become history's first patient to be treated with a personalized gene editing technique that raises hopes for other people with obscure illnesses, doctors said Thursday. The wee pioneer is KJ Muldoon, a now 9.5-month-old boy with chubby cheeks and blue eyes. Shortly after birth, he was diagnosed with a rare and serious condition called CPS1 deficiency. It is caused by a mutation in a gene that produces an enzyme key to liver function and prevents people with it from eliminating certain kinds of toxic waste produced by their metabolism. If you Google CPS1 deficiency, and it's either fatality rate or liver transplant. That's it. The baby's mother said in a video released by Children's Hospital of Philadelphia where the baby was treated. When the prognosis grim, doctors suggested something that had never been done before. Listen to the wording. Yeah. There again, we are overwhelmed for this child because this gives this child a chance to live. And it was successful. So spoiler alert, it worked. Watch this. You need to understand what's going on. With the prognosis grim, doctors suggested something that had never been done before, a personalized treatment to fix the baby's genome using what amounts to a pair of molecular scissors, the technique called CRISPR-Cas9, which earned the creators the Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 2020. The boy's father said he and his wife faced an impossible decision. Our child is sick. We either have to get a liver transplant or get this medicine that's never been given to anybody before. Right. There's the baby. Look how precious. In the end, they agreed to have the child treated with the infusion created just for him to fix his genetic mutation. Incorrect DNA letters in the several billion that make up the human genome. The drug is really designed only for KJ. Only for KJ. So the genetic variants that he has are specific to him. It's personalized medicine.
Wow.
I mean, that's mind-blowing. Once again, thank God for this child.
Yes.
There'll be so many things that are coming, y'all, very soon that we will say on this show and you will say in your life, thank God. I mean, if I had a chance to save my child, I would save my child. Thank God.
Of course, you would want that for your child. So let's go back to a couple of months ago when the president had the press conference with, is it Larry Ellison? Did he not talk about a form of personalized medicine?
Personalized vaccination.
Personalized vaccination.
By the way, this CRISPR-9 editing was determined and was designed specifically for that child, not through a human, but through AI.
Well, that's a very good thing to point out. Thank you for highlighting that very important piece of information for us. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So when they called it, what kind of scissors did he call it?
I don't remember.
In this story.
I've already closed it, so I don't know.
It's okay. I've heard it described by someone who's more conservative leaning that it is mostly a cutting out or a cutting away of something in the DNA. So, I don't know. It's obviously very
the way that I read it about 2 weeks ago in some of my deep dive research I was doing, they said it is now through the power of AI become as simple as using a Word document and highlighting words and clicking Control X and cutting them out.
Whoa.
And then finding the words you want and do Control V and paste them back in and save the document. It has become that operational.
That precise.
When you have the right equipment.
That simple when you have the right
You can find the tiny part of a DNA, y'all, almost invisible, and find the one part that's wrong and just go in like a word processor and cut out the word that's not right and paste in the word that's right.
And can I point out something? It's not only as fascinating as helping this one child.
Genetic scissors.
This should be able to not be passed on to his offspring, correct?
Right. That's
if it's
correct.
removed from his DNA, then that particular one could not affect his offspring.
That's going to be a great selling point.
Yeah.
Not only can it save you, but it can protect generations.
I mean, it's got, there again.
And AI is going to, Larry Ellison said it, AI is going to say,
genetic scissors, thank you, Billy.
Whatever you got, I'm going to make one for you. Whatever version you got, I'm going to make one for you. And by the way, the version I make for you only works for you. And it's 100% success rate is where they're going to sell it because it was made from your DNA.
Okay, once again, you cannot trust these people.
Nope.
What if they fix one thing and tamper with something else while they're, come on. There are questions that need to be asked that we can't even conceive right now concerning these procedures. So, I'm very uncomfortable with this.
Yeah. Well, let me make you a little bit more comfortable.
Oh, yay.
All right. So Elon Musk says that Tesla's Optimus robot could drive company to a $25 trillion valuation.
What?
Yeah. He is projecting that not the cars, not the Neuralink, and not even the rockets, but the robots are the future. Now, we've covered him saying that before. That was the big sell.
I don't think he gave out that number.
No.
But yeah, we've talked about how big robots are going to be. Before.
But he says that his Tesla Optimus robot is the moneymaker, and it could drive his company to a $25 trillion valuation. Now, this is him in the early stages. This is not even the latest model, just showing how the robot is folding the shirt. Does a pretty good job. Does a lot better job than me.
That's for sure. I choose that robot's shirt folding over yours any day.
57 years old, I still can't fold a shirt, y'all. I mean, come on. If I'm going to put it on, just do something, put it in there. Just it's going to stretch out. The wrinkles are going to get out when it gets on my body.
Sure.
So this is just the warehouse there, the laboratory where they're just trying all these different things. Now, that you see, I remember that one. That was when he was being very gentle with the egg and, all that. Now, I showed you that because that was the first version.
Right.
I'm going to show you in just a minute the updated version of the same robot. But before I do that, I want to remind you to go to LarryRagland.com and click on at the top where it says partner with us. You can become a partner with us. Y'all, we have a television program. We're on Faith TV. If you have DirecTV, then you have Faith TV. And we are on every Monday morning, same day as we're on here at night. We're on Monday morning at 7:30 a.m. Central Time. Start your week off with us. It's a 30-minute program, totally separate than this program. It's a TV program that we record, and it is on Faith TV. So our partners enable us to do that because it's not free, as well as enable us to do some of the things that we're doing, some of the travel that we're about to do to promote the big picture and many other things. So go there. You can get all our social media. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Telegram, of course, YouTube, and all of our previous shows, our book that we have out now, I See Greatness in You, and hopefully it won't be long. You'll have a pre-order link there for the final flood. Yes. But we want to say thank you to all of our partners. We appreciate you so much. Mm-hmm. And so I want to show you here, y'all, this is the latest edition.
Stop it.
Of same robot.
Good grief.
Watch his dance moves. Tesla shared a new video of his Optimus robot dancing. This video is real and is played at 1x speed. So I wanted to make sure you understood this is the actual speed of it. It's not being sped up. It's that nimble. Now watch this. When I click to the next one. Look at the ballet. Look at the joints. Look how smooth. Now look at this. Now this is a robot. Yeah, we got nothing to be worried about. That's crazy to me. Look at the moves.
Every week, more reasons why your expiration date has already passed. They just don't need us anymore.
Yeah. But look at this dude. So I called him a dude. He's got better moves than I've ever had.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
You didn't have to say that.
Wow.
I mean, that's crazy. Look, he's doing ballet.
I just don't even.
So let's watch how fast.
I don't even know what to say.
Let's go back real quick. This was the first version. Look how they're a little bit choppy. They're not smooth. They're doing it. It's amazing what they're doing already, but it's just not smooth. They're just, their hands are just sort of doing like this a little bit. Right. But then you go from that to this.
Yeah.
To tap dancing, Running Man, to, come on. He's got better moves than Michael Jackson.
Yeah, stocking those shells probably won't be a problem for this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, fixing your car, building rockets, building cars, doing surgery. That's 1x speed. That's not sped up. He's really moving that smooth and that fast. And that's just him. That's just them showing him dancing. What else can it do? Can it shoot a gun?
Exactly.
That's what I want to know. Can it build a wall?
Yeah.
Does it already know how to construct a house?
Can it take off running and sprint across an open field with 60 pounds of whatever on its back?
Hundreds of pounds, probably.
Hundreds of pounds on its back.
All right, Sandy, you've been taking votes all night long.
Oh, goodness.
So it's come to that time of the show where we have to say it is time to award the Golden Chicken Award. What are the nominations? Go.
Nominations for tonight, I'm going to bring it down to we're going to go with Synchron blood vessel.
That was a good one.
Root against Tesla Optimus robot. Well,
the ultimate vote goes to you. You're the decider. So who wins tonight's Golden Chicken Award?
Listen, I'm going to have to go with this last story. Our Tesla Optimus robot.
The dancing robot.
Tell your pets it's going to be okay. It's just time for that Golden Chicken Award.
You know you couldn't wait for it. You know that's the reason you stayed to the end. One more time. Let them hear it. They want to hear it one more time.
No, he's not dying. He's technically already dead, but he does have a funky sound. It's that Golden Chicken Award.
And with that, we want to remind you that no matter what day of the week it is, no matter dancing robots or not, no matter what's coming, the AI apocalypse or not, little green men's coming.
A little cousin named Cosmo.
Oh, they're all going to try to come get us, but guess what?
Everybody's making an appearance tonight. We'll
Jesus
even say,
has got us.
Bless your heart.
And we always want to remind you,
Jesus is coming soon.
Jesus is coming. You always need a little Jesus.
Need some Jesus.
See you next time with a big picture. We always want to remind you that we ain't woke.
No.
But we are certainly awake. Bye, y'all. Love y'all.
Would you like to help us build the big picture family? We're on a mission to wake up the world to what is really going on. All you have to do is go to our website at LarryRagland.com and make a one-time gift, or you can become a monthly partner. Any amount is a blessing and an encouragement to us. While you're there, make sure you get a copy of our book, I See Greatness in You. Browse our merchandise store, connect with us on our social media links, and join our mailing list. We appreciate it. And remember, we ain't woke, but we are certainly awake.